Hello, I'm Richard Sandling and welcome to my review of 2008. No Country for Old Men. No Country for Old Men starts off brilliantly. It's gripping and exciting, it's well shot, it's a merciful and welcomed return to form for the Coen brothers. And then it just sort of goes on a bit. It goes on and on and on. I mean, there's some nice bits in it, but it's mostly just talking. An awful lot of talking. And it just goes on and on and on. A bit too long. And then it just sort of ends. And you leave the cinema disappointed, but because of the way it had been heralded in the press as the second coming of cinema, you just can't help but wonder if it's your fault you didn't enjoy it as much as you should have done. What do you get if you take all the Wes Anderson films you've seen, all the Mark Romanek, Hal Hartley movies you've ever seen, and make a list of all the things in those films that make them magical, special and inventive, and then construct a script ticking off all those elements as you cynically include them in your contrived indie film? You get Juno. Enjoyable, if ultimately soulless whimsy by numbers that just rings a bit false. Cloverfield. Cloverfield is terrible. It takes ages to get going, introducing us to characters that I suddenly realised I have no interest in whatsoever, so that by the time the monster did finally attack, I was already bored and couldn't care less.
Is it on?
No one ever does that if they have a camcorder. I should have realised right then that this film was going to be awful. I mean, to be fair to Cloverfield, it's nowhere near as boring as the Blair Witch Project, but it isn't even half as good as the X-Files Cops episode, which is brilliant and only 42 minutes long. Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace was really good in parts. Even though I could follow everything that went on, it still really made no sense. The dialogue was mostly mumbled and inaudible and difficult to follow, and the subtitles were unreadable. And I wasn't even watching this on a pirate. I did like the way Bond couldn't help killing everyone he went to go and meet, and I'm glad they've got rid of all the gadgets and the stupid pointless puns. There were some very nice touches and some excellent set pieces. Persepolis. Persepolis is a very good film adapted from a comic book. A comic book that girls like to read. This year, I could talk to girls about comic books. It was amazing. Sometimes, right, sometimes the Observer forgot to tell them what other books they should read, and I can suggest to them Daniel Clowes and Harvey Pekar, and I'm doing them a favour and not creeping them out or outstaying my welcome. It was brilliant. God bless you, Persepolis, and God bless you, pretentious, broadsheet literary agents. Iron Man. Thoroughly entertaining, and just the right blend of straight-faced drama and exciting silliness. Though, if I had been held captive for months and could go anywhere upon release to get a cheeseburger that I'd been dreaming of, I wouldn't go to Burger King. And if I did go to Burger King, I'd certainly get a bloody Whopper and do the whole thing properly. The Dark Knight. I feel everyone has pretty much had any opinion worth having on The Dark Knight, and so all I can add to it is that I think it's awesome too. However, in many ways The Dark Knight as a film has been overshadowed by the sad and tragic death of Heath Ledger. And the fact that Shia LaBeouf and James McAvoy are alive and well and still making movies is frankly rubbing our noses in it. But Heath Ledger was not the only sad, tragic loss to have occurred to cinema this year. 2008 saw us lose all patience and respect for George Lucas, and Ewan McGregor's bankability and Helen Hunt's sex appeal are sadly no longer with us. So why not join me in 2 weeks' time for another edition of Review, where I shall be talking about some of the films that are out at the cinema for your enjoyment. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas!